G'day, how you going? Been mostly working on my hoard today. That means processing bits and pieces of crap, building up my copper, building up my brass, building up everything, scrapping bits and pieces. I finally managed to get my trailer and car unloaded because they were both chock-a-block again after yesterday's pickup. I'll show you a couple of things. You're going to have to bear with me a bit because I've got to pick me super duper high quality filming equipment up here, which is basically me phone stuck into a mount that I made myself on a tripod. You're just going to have to bear with me and we'll see how we go. Righto. I'm about to start scrapping this thing here. This is a Sony Trinitron. Must have been just about the last of this type. This is a CRT television, which is a cathode ray tube television. It has a picture tube. That's what cathode ray tube means. It's a picture tube. Now this is a Trinitron. This is the absolute best of all of this type of television. This is the best one to get. But I've never had one that's got speakers built into it the way this one has. Now, I love Trinitrons, I reckon they're great, but they're heavy as buggery. This one here, you may notice it's on the floor rather than on the bench over here. That's because I can't pick the bastard up. Now this one here, you can see the back of, it's an LG. It weighs 70 kilos and I can pick that up and put it on my bench, no worries. But not that thing. I cannot get that thing off the ground. It was a fair mongrel of a thing to get into the trailer and out of it. Really, really heavy. Like, it'd be close to 100 kilos, this thing. I've got all of this stuff here to strip, wreck and process and what have you. That's a commercial photocopier there, which is upside down because they're a piece of crap. There's tellies, there's DVDs, there's everything you like to think of in there. There's some really high-end stereo stuff which should be really good. There's a dozen computers there and a few laptops and a whatever that thing is, and a whole lot of modems and what have you. They're usually really good for gold recovery. So I'm going to be busy for quite a few days. I've been picking up, well, I picked up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Monday, and I've already started taking bookings for picking up again next week. So it's going really, really well. It's my copper and brass and everything's all over here, and I've been working on filling these up because I need to do a scrap run down to, I take my scrap to Melbourne, which is a 400k round trip, so I don't go until I've got plenty. But up in there's a whole lot of motors and voltage regulators, variable speed motors and voltage regulators. They should be able to sell, well, they should sell, and they should sell pretty well. But the thing with what I do is that you don't always just end up with scrap. This thing over here is a Works 3-in-1 blower, vac, mulcher combination unit. It works perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it. So that's going on eBay. I've got these couple of old drills here. One's a Makita, one's a Bosch. The Bosch one, it's a very high quality industrial grade 2-speed reversible hammer drill, and the Makita is a 2-speed and variable speed reversible hammer drill. They're both still on their case. They both work perfectly well, so they'll be going on eBay or local marketplace to try and sell them, because it's hard to, you know, you look at this thing here, before the advent of cordless technology, this thing was worth a fortune. Not worth quite so much now, but it's still a quality unit and it should still sell. So we'll see what happens. The bench is covered in crap. There's a mountain of plugs that I've got to pull the pins out of, and a lot of them are like this type of thing that have got little transformers in them as well and what have you. So, you know, I'll get what I can out of them. With these, I actually pull the pins out of these because they're brass and it has a value. Not a hell of a lot, but it has a value. And sitting over there in that tin, or in those tins, is, oh, between the three tins is about 15 kilos of brass and copper that I've pulled out of small things. So, you know, like every scrapper says, it all adds up. It's like these things here. These are relays with contactors built into them. They've all got gold buttons on them. I've got a pile of them to pull apart. But yeah, so it's all gone pretty well today. A pile of crap to process. So I'm going to put the camera down now and start pulling this thing to bits. I've never done one with speakers like this in it before, so I really don't know what I'm going to find. We'll just play it by ear and see what happens. So I'll just pause this for a second so I can get my camera set up and we'll carry on. I really don't know how well this is going to work. I've never filmed myself pulling apart something on the floor before, but then again, I've never done most of this before, so we'll see what happens. I really don't know what I'm going to find in here. I do know that, oh, there we go, look at that. I do know that as far as CRT televisions go, which is cathode ray tube televisions, i.e. ones that have a picture tube, as opposed to a flat screen or whatever, the Sony Trinitron is the best of the lot. They yield the best for copper and everything else. Now that looks a bit like just a speed bump. Now we'll leave that to one side for the moment. And we'll see what else we can find. They're actually not hard to get apart. anyone that's ever pulled apart a television will tell you the first thing you've got to do is cut this cable here. It goes between the flyback transformer, which is this thing here, and the back of the tube down here. They all tell you that if you don't cut it, you'll get zapped. Well, I've pulled apart a hell of a lot of tellies. I've never been zapped by one. Doesn't mean I want to find out the hard way that you do. So, I cut it. You've got a few sources of cable and what over here with these things, but there's a couple of things in them that are really good. You get a little board here that's really not much. You get a pretty decent sized circuit board, but there's not a hell of a lot on the circuit board. There's a bit, especially in the Trinitrons. You've got heat sinks which are extruded aluminium, you've got chips, you've got plug-in boards. It's, as far as television boards go, these things are pretty good. I don't know how much of that you can see, but down in there's a huge big chip. There's coils, there's transformers, there's capacitors. These things here, they're capacitors. They're not considered to be worth a lot, but they can go in with iron aluminium and you get 60 cents a kilo for them, so they're worth something. This is a transformer. These are good coils here. Big heat sinks here and here. You know, there's a lot of bits and pieces that I will have fun getting. But the best part of these is this cable you can see running around here. You get your head out of my way, please. Come on, yeah, come on, get. There's a cable runs right around the back of the picture tube. Will you two get out of the way? Come on, move. It's called a degaussing cable. It's basically on the Trinitrons and most tellies, it's copper. Hey, move. Come on, get out, both of you. You're bumming me bloody way. Most of the time it's copper. That's as thick as my finger, and look at my hands, you know, that's a lot of copper. And there's also a lot of copper in here. This is the yoke. Now to get the yoke out, off. I need my cordless drill, which is somewhere around here. There it is. You've usually got two clamps on them. That's all they are. They're usually stainless steel. Or usually, sometimes both are stainless. As often as not, one is and one isn't. Don't ask me why. Because I don't know. That thing there just slides off. In that you've got 4 little copper coils, a board that's got pretty much nothing on it and not much else. You've got to be careful of this thing here. That's the back end of the CRT. You don't want to break that, because inside there is all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things that you just don't want any part of. So you've got to be a bit careful. But that's how hard it is to get the yoke off. Now that yoke is loaded with copper. There's half a kilo of copper on that yoke. Right? And it's dead easy to get out. Dead easy. 5 minutes and all the copper's out. Now, on this particular one, it's got a metal shroud around the back of the tube. I don't know why these things are here, and I don't care. The shroud's got to come off because I want that. I don't know if you can see that or not. That black thing there comes right around here, down here, across here. It'll loop up and around and do all kinds of funky things. And it's solid copper. So it's worth getting. Socket to get that. One thing you've got to really be careful of, this end of the CRT is easy to break. Inside the tube there is mercury vapor, there's mercury, there's lead, there's cadmium, there's all kinds of crap in there that is bonded to the inside of the tube. But if you break this, it's under pressure. If you break it, you'll end up inhaling it. So you've got to give it some respect, all right? You've got to be really careful. There's not a lot of gold to be had in these. Well, in fact, well, apart from what you might find in the chips, there's, no appreciable gold at all. But scrapping isn't all about getting gold. It's about making money, and there's money to be had in copper and brass and silver. I'm sitting here looking over at this board here, and I can see on the board here, I can see these little tiny switches here. These things, they're called tactile switches. They're little tiny switches. You'll often find them under keypads and what have you, where you're just pushing on a silicon button. Each one of those switches has a little pair of silver contacts in it. So I'm going to get them. I'm going to get all the wire out of it. I'm going to get the aluminium heat sinks, because it's all extruded aluminium. It's worth $2. These things here, that's worth $2.60 a kilo. So they're worth getting. These are copper coils. Copper's worth, the copper in these is worth $10.20 a kilo. It's worth getting. There's there's all sorts of things in there that, Jetty, leave the camera alone, mate. Come on, out you go. I'm filming, mate. I'm making a movie, buddy. So you can't ignore what's on these boards. You know, you can throw it away. You can't sell it because there's no one that'll buy it. This would all be considered low-grade board. There's no one that'll buy this stuff. You can either sell it as scrap metal for, you know, maybe 25 cents a kilo if you're lucky, or you can take the bits off yourself and make some money out of it. It's up to you. Me, by the time I'm done, there'll be nothing left on there. Where was I? Thing about respect. See that? That picture tube's just sitting in there now. If I bump it, it's liable to fall over. If it falls over, it's going to land on that. If it lands on that, it will break it. I really don't want that to break. Alright? I've got too much respect for my own health to take a stupid chance like that. So it'll go over onto its face. I know it made a big bang, but that's just because it's bloody heavy. The actual case of the television protects the screen from actually hitting the floor. The screen's fine, it didn't break. Now, in here, you've got a couple of sources of copper. One is this thing here, which is a braided copper lead which follows the degaussing cable. Why it's there, I've got no idea, but it is copper. So we keep that. And this thing here, these two things here, these are your degaussing cable. It's 1/2 inch thick and it's solid copper. Well, it's not solid copper, it's stranded copper, but it's all copper. You can see from that, it's all copper. Alright? And it's all bright copper. You can see there's between the two of those, there's nearly 1.5 kilos of bright copper. That's $16, $17 worth of copper just in those two coils. That's not including the 3/4 kilo or 1/2 kilo of copper that's in that. Alright, just between that and that, there's about $18 worth of copper, plus everything else I'll get out of this thing. So yeah, that's why I love Sony Trinitrons. I'm done. I've still got to pull all this apart, but that's just a case of sitting there with a pair of pliers and a hammer and a sharp edge and just knocking off the bits I want. This thing here, it's called the flyback transformer. You can't sell that, if you can see that, this thing here, that's the flyback transformer. You can't actually sell it. Scrapyards won't buy it as a transformer because there's nothing in it of value. The value is contained in these coils that you can see, I hope you can see, here, 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 this transformer, this piece of extruded aluminium, this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece. Not to mention, down in there is a lovely big IC, integrated silicon chip, and there's, up inside here, there's chips and all sorts of goodies in it. I'll spend a little bit of time picking all the bits off this, but it's well worth it. As for this, well, I've not seen one. This is basically a speaker box that came off the top of it. Going by the weight of it, I'd say it's only got a couple of speakers in it. I don't think there's going to be anything else in there, because this is the first time I've done one with speakers mounted on the top of it. I'll pull it apart to see, but I suspect there'll only be speakers in it, which I won't bother with. They'll go to recycling, because you know there's nothing I can do with the speaker. But yeah, that's a CRT television. The Sony Trinitron. It's in my experience, the single best of the CRT televisions is these ones. You know, from that telly I'll make, by the time I'm done, probably 35 bucks. Which if I wasn't trying to film what I'm doing, I'd already be stripping the board. So, you know, you don't make a fortune, but it adds up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and I can't believe I'm saying this. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video, okay? Cheers, bye.